So what we want to do is start immediately on some of the things that we have possibly missed in our training. So let me explain what I mean. So I know that you have opened your bank account, talked about it, open your corporate account. You know what we didn't discuss? We didn't discuss you making sure that you have a corporate landing page, website landing page where people actually make orders. They can see your products, they can see your pricing, and they can actually enter into a subscription online. So, like, they can place orders for what type of event they want, and they can actually subscribe. There can be an electronic contract that they can sign, that they can enter into a basic itemization of things that they want to have. And then that would automatically reach out to you guys and establish a meeting. Also, a corporate email address. Yeah, want you to make sure that you have your business email address. That's highly important, and I want to make sure that you guys have that. And I don't know that you have that already, so want to make sure that you've covered that. For the most part, anybody else that's watching this, I'm pretty sure you guys have your corporate email. You've got your bank accounts. We've gotten past all of that. We talked about you setting up your C corporation, and we talked about the variation of types of entities and why the C corporation is working for you because of what we're setting up. We've moved into talking about setting up your holding company as a protection of your assets. And so I want to just make sure that we've gone through those things. Now, I tell you what, we have not really ventured into. We've talked about it on the surface, but we haven't really ventured into the financial statements. And I want us to spend some extensive time preparing your financial statements. Now, we talked about the private placement memorandum. We have gone over those things, and I want to uh, review what you've sent me before I expound on some of those things because we could uh, we could possibly lose time because I haven't gone through all of the information that you sent me. So I don't want to talk about the private placement memorandum as it pertains specifically to your company. I want to talk about it in general, but not as it pertains specifically to your company. So if that makes sense, then we'll move forward. Okay. So I want to open it. Let me see if I can open up a document here. And I know that I've talked to you guys in the past. Some of you are looking to purchase real estate. Others you are looking to lease entities or lease buildings in your corporate name. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you get ready to lease a building in your corporate name, it's almost like purchasing a piece of property. Here's why: you're going to need to have your tax returns for the past 2 years. You're going to have 2 months paycheck stubs from you personally, or yeah, that's what you're going to need, or 2 months bank statements for the company. And you're going to need your debt to income ratio for your corporation to be right at 40%. And we explain more of how to determine your debt to income ratio in this book. Homeownership, pre-planning, and much, much more. It's purchase power for businesses. So it explains to you how you can set your business up for long-term leasing or for the purchasing of real estate. I want us to get more into talking about that to make sure that you are preparing yourself, that you're setting up your plans so that when it's time for you to expand into your own location, whether it be a long-term lease or whether it be to purchase the building, that you will be prepared to do that. If you go ahead and start now, then by the time that you're ready, you will be prepared. Okay, so that's why I'm talking to you about these things because I want to make sure that I've told you how to set yourself up. All right, so I'm going to pause for a minute so that I can plug in my microphone. So you'll notice that on some occasions when I'm recording, My recordings are high intensity, high inspirational. In those times, there's not a lot of teaching that's going on. In this session, there's going to be quite a bit of teaching. So you won't hear the high intensity inspiration because right now I'm trying to make sure that you have this information. Is that all right? Okay. So the first thing we want to review, we've again been talking about the private placement memorandum. I want to review how much you gleaned from that. So, I did a what we call a fast pass exam where I asked the questions and you guys had to answer the questions in our school community. And I'm thinking about doing something like that again because that really turned out well. It helped me to understand where you guys are in the process of understanding what it is that we're doing. Okay. So, but I want to go back over something. I want to go back over something that we possibly have not talked about before. I think I did an online of this, but I never, I'm going to expound on it again. And let me tell you what I'm going to expound on. I'm going to expound on you understanding exactly how not just the boutique brokerage works and how we're going to use it. Keep talking about it because we're going to start using it with a variation of our members very soon. And when I say very soon, I mean as soon as right after our next. So we're going to have in our school community, we're going to have a live on the 19th. And as soon as we start our school or have our live, and what's going to happen is that we're going to go right into signing some people up for the private placement memorandum. Okay, so that's how soon it's about to be. All right, so that's why I want to make sure that we're doing all that we can to understand it. Okay, cool beans. Great. All right, so here we go. I'm going to talk about, when we talk about the private placement memorandum and we talk about the boutique brokerage and how you can sell your stock, there's something that I need you to understand, and I want you to understand it. So if ever you are faced with any circumstances or situations that people may question, this will give you the opportunity to understand how you're able to sell your stock without being a member of the stock exchange. That makes sense? So if you're not a member of the public stock exchange, then how is it that you're able to sell your stock? All right. So we're going to talk about provisions that are available that actually empower you to be able to sell your stock. We're going to talk about certain regulations that are available. So as we go forward talking about this, the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to take notes. Why? Because in this edition of Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for New Business Owners, this part of what we're teaching is not in the book. It's going to be in the new edition of the book, right? It's going to be in the new edition of the book. That's why I want to make sure that you're taking notes. Now, I believe that the summary is going to print out so that you'll be able to also have a copy of the summary. However, if not, you want to make sure that you've got adequate notes. All right. So let's just make sure that you're doing that. So if you don't have anything to take adequate notes, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and get that done, to go ahead and reach out and get some things done. Because remember, right after I do this, I'm going to come back and I'm going to record again the Fast Pass exam for this information that I'm about to share with you. So I'm giving you an opportunity to go ahead and get what it is that you need in order to prepare. And I want to also give you an idea of the background. I don't know if you guys remember the image of the book. Now, I've gotten some feedback. Let me tell you, I've gotten some excellent feedback. So I've gotten some feedback regarding a workbook to accompany the new book. I've gotten some feedback as to some other things that people are hoping to see in the new book. And I'm excited about this upcoming edition. It's going to be, I think, something that everybody's going to be able to benefit from. But anyway, this is what the image looks like. This gives you an idea. Right in back of me is an image of the second edition. This is what it's going to look like. And I think that you guys are really going to benefit from the information that's going to be in there. So what we're about to talk about is going to be in the book. Now, I have given you enough time, those of you who are going to join me, to join us, and for those of you who need to go get your items to take notes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So firstly, most entrepreneurs never learn the capital raising shortcuts that could save them hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of frustration. I only remember this, I only teach you things that I've experienced. So most of you know my history. My husband and I started back in 1984 when we formed our corporation called Battle Lawson and Associates. Okay, at that time we were licensed mortgage bankers. We had a contract with First American Mortgage, which then became Atlantic Mortgage National. Okay, and then from there we sold our company to a individual that was there who was a multimillionaire at the time, and he bought our company and he invited us to merge with another company and his company. So there would be three companies that were merging together. We merged together to form a mortgage banking entity, a licensed mortgage banking entity. Okay. And at that time, I became an underwriter for the company, a whole 9 yards, bunch of stuff. Okay. FHA underwriter over the years. And then in 1993, I landed in the seat of title abstract. Got there because of a position that I had, and also some work that we did for some of the attorneys that we did closings for. They ended up needing title help and help with the title jackets and all of that stuff. And so I ended up in this industry. Then I ended up with a position that had to do with title clearing. Yeah, it was a title clearing company. It was called Nationwide Title Clearing. They were in California, and they hired me to work in the Georgia area. At that time, I was in Georgia. I lived in Georgia, born and raised here. So my husband, who had been a long time a real estate appraiser, licensed appraiser, he came in and he helped me with this training so that I would know how to recognize certain things in the county records in terms of title. Okay, and getting the assignments that I was preparing and the releases and the satisfactions of mortgage, because at that time there was a penalty if those mortgages were paid in full and not satisfied of record within 90 days. So they hired me to work inside of Citizens Bank to make sure that all of their assignments was clear, that all of the releases and satisfactions were prepared and recorded in a timely manner. All right, so having done that and having gone through the training that my husband gave me to understand the title records, I moved into an area of document retrievals. Okay. And then from there, as we opened our office together, my husband and I, back in 1993, we incorporated that particular company, as we had done before, as a C corporation. And we still have that company, still profit from it, still operating as a title abstracting company. And there's another entity that we have that we operate in titles as well. Okay. And we have trained an enormous amount of people since we started. We have what's called a limited franchise opportunity that we offer to individuals so that they are able to set up their own corporation through title abstracting. And we help them with their clients and all of that so that they're able to, at some point, operate independently. That is what we have done for ages. Okay, so we understand that there comes a time when you need to raise capital. We've had to raise capital, and the way that we've been able to do it is to sell stock. So when I'm teaching you these things in the curriculum, I'm actually just walking you through things that I know have worked because I've used them myself. I've seen what other people have done. I've seen what we've advised some of our limited franchise companies. I've advised them and I've seen what they've done and what they've been successful in getting done. But I know what we've done. And this is what I'm teaching you so that you can rise to a certain level and then be able to go to attain more assistance from a higher level of operation. So we're just getting you to a point to maybe we can hand you off to a company like A&L Business Strategies. They are a B2G operation and they teach other corporations how to establish themselves in B2G contracts. All right. And then from there, somebody else will pick you up that we can refer you to that will take you even higher. We're taking you into the multi-millions and somebody else will take you into the billions. What I'm doing is showing you from our experience what we have gleaned so that you can grow from there. All right. And I'm saying to you that most entrepreneurs never learn the capital raising shortcuts that could save them hundreds of thousands of dollars in years of frustration. So if you ever wondered how small businesses and startups and regional corporations raise money without going public, without Wall Street, without draining or drowning or draining their pockets or drowning in SEC paperwork, you're about to learn the exact exemptions that we use every day to grow fast and stay compliant. So firstly, the power of understanding Regulation D. That's the new growth mechanism for corporations. All right. All right. This is a way to help. And when I say new, I'm not talking about this just started. I'm talking about this is a way now that's being revealed to growing corporations, new startups. It's a way that's helping them to build revenue. So raising capital is one of the biggest hurdles for new business owners. You can attest to that. Full SEC registration is expensive, time consuming, and it's often unnecessary. And also you can be denied after all of the money, after all of the energy entailed. That's why Regulation D exists. It's an essential that's been set. It's a set of exemptions, and it's set for new and growing companies that are scaling. It allows companies to legally raise money from investors without going through a public offering. These exemptions are widely used by startups, real estate syndicators, regional corporations, and even private companies across the country. Okay. So if you understand these rules and you understand they're not optional, you've got to operate within these Reg D. I almost said Reg Z, thinking about lending. It's a foundation skill for any entrepreneur who wants to scale. You want to attract investors, or you want to structure your corporate offerings the right way. Now, remember, we set you up as a C corporation for a reason. What was that reason? Because we wanted you to be able to grow exponentially. We wanted you to have a perpetual existence. Okay, these are things that you can do inside of a C corporation. You can sell stock because you have shares that you've set up. You can determine the format, the structure, whether it's going to be common stock or whether it's going to be preferred stock, and how you're going to operate within that, how you're going to utilize it, benefit from it, and offer a benefit to your shareholders. Okay, so we set you up, or you set yourself up as a C corporation because of the expansion that you wanted to leave. You didn't want to limit yourself to a certain amount of investors. You didn't want to limit the type of investor that could be made available to you. So you again decided to set yourself up structured under a C corporation. So when we break down the Regulation D rules, we're talking about the different sections of Regulation D that would apply to a company that's non-public. One of them is the 50C. 50CB. I'm sorry, 506B. My eyes and my brain are thinking 506B, but my mouth is tired because it's late at night and I'm saying something else. All right. 506B. All right. Okay. And for those of you who are right now taking the course, Those of you who are in the Zoom with me and you're taking notes because this is not in the books, I want you to know that I'm going to send you this. So you're going to get a copy of the transcripts, but I'm also going to send you this portion of the new edition. Remember, this information that you're getting, if you can see the image behind me, see it behind me? Yeah. That is the image of the new edition. It's the second edition of Easy. It's going to be a hard copy book because I've been told that you guys carry this book everywhere, this little paperback in so many places that you go. And so in taking it with you, it gets a little damaged, right? So I've been told that you want to see this in a hard copy. So I heard you, and we are now getting it done in a hard copy so that you're able to continue to take it and mark it up and use it wherever you got. People say, no, we take it everywhere. If we're going to have a meeting, if we're going to set up a structure, if we're going to buy a building, we take it with us everywhere. If we go to the bank, and there's certain things that we're doing. So it's getting a little worn. But anyway, all of this is going to be in the second edition. Since it's not in this book that you have now, I'm going to send you a copy of the excerpt along with these transcripts, okay? So if you're taking notes now, I'm glad that you are. I'm not sure when we'll get this copy of the excerpt to you, but I know that it will be sometime this week being January the 12th, 2026. All right, so let's look at this Rule 506B. You can go to that section in the Regulation B rules. We're talking about the rules of the SEC. All right. Private placement memorandums without general solicitation. So this is a classic private placement exemption. It allows companies to raise in an unlimited amount of capital as long as they don't advertise or publicly solicit investors. So under this rule, the issuer may accept up to 35 non-accredited investors. Yeah, they can do it within a 90-day period, provided they're sophisticated enough to understand the risk that's involved. And that's a whole nother thing. And I am not licensed or anything like that. So you can always go to sec.gov. You can look up the Reg D and you can read through it yourself. You can also reach out to a boutique brokerage from the list of boutique brokerages that we're going to be providing from you. And again, we're not trying to suggest or steer you in any way. What we've done is we've gone through and we have specified through certain boutique brokerages the type of companies that exist in our community. And what they've done is they have structured a list of boutique brokerages that fit. Because see, each boutique brokerage has a certain type of vetted investor that they service. And for instance, certain investors are looking for digitized companies, or they're looking for tech companies. Some of them are looking for creators. So it depends on what that particular investor is accustomed to investing in, what their portfolio looks like. And the boutique brokerage has a group of vetted investors that will be looking for the service that you provide. How would we give you a list of boutique brokerages that don't service investors that will be looking for the type of stock that you will have to offer? Okay, so I want you to understand that. So the issuer can accept up to 35 non-accredited investors. And the issuer will be you, okay? And you can issue up to 35 non-accredited investors. Yeah, you can accept that many. Here's the thing. It has to be done within a 90-day period. And you got to understand that Reg Z, excuse me, I keep saying, because I'm thinking lending, because I've done this for lending for so many years. But it's got to be within the constraints and the regulations of the regulation. Real important. You can look it up on sec.gov. I'm going to send you the excerpts with all the details that I have available based on my experience and what we've done and the boutique brokerage that has serviced us and that we use for our advisement. I'll send you all of that. That's a part of the excerpt of this second edition of the book. So this exemption is ideal for founders who are already set up so that you have a network of investors and you want to avoid public marketing. So let's say you've got Maybe you've already reached out to a boutique brokerage and they're sort of giving you an idea of some of the investors that they work with. Now, it's rare that they would do that, but in some cases, when you're dealing with a boutique brokerage that you've dealt with for years, they'll sort of preempt you so that you can be prepared for some of the criteria that their investors look for. In that case, you would already have an idea of a group of investors that you wanted to market to, and you wouldn't have to do any public marketing. So you got to avoid public marketing. If nothing else, remember this. With the 506B, you got to avoid public marketing. Okay? This has to be with a group of vetted investors that you already are privy to. Okay? All right. And remember, you can accept up to 35 non-accredited investors within 90 days. All right. The 506C, that's private placements with general solicitation. It allows companies to openly advertise their investment opportunity online, on social media, at events, anywhere, as long as every investor is accredited and the issuer takes responsibility and reasonable steps to verify the status of those investors. So there's a certain status. So they have to have a certain amount of verified assets before they can be considered accredited investors. Okay, it's not just somebody, "Ooh, I want to buy your stock. I want to invest in what you have." It has to be. They have to be vetted. They have to be verified. And so, what you want to do is make sure that if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to verify whether they're accredited, that you got to go through the boutique broker. I'm going to tell you, you need to go through the boutique brokerage anyway, because you can violate one of these regulations and you can bring on so much problems for yourself. I have over the years seen people who tried to do this themselves. They brought on some serious problems for themselves. Back in the day, when I say back in the day, it hadn't been that long ago. We used the assistance of certain boutique brokerages, depending on the product, because we had a couple of corporations that we're working with that service different types of clients and provided different types of products. Certain investors were looking for certain types of products. We made sure that they went through the process and provided us with the documentation that showed, and they don't want to deal with investors that hadn't been accredited anyway, because it's not really going to help them, because this is what they do for a living. And they don't need to violate any provision that they have to operate, right? So with this one, I'll just let you know we've been able to operate under this provision or one similar to this general solicitation. All right, back it was the wisest way to do it, to set up events where the investors physically came. Yeah, they physically came. The boutique brokerage set up the event. Now they set up online events. Then they set up physical events, and the investors actually came to the event. Or sometimes we flew out to the event. Right. Yeah. And so they provided us with the documentation to show that they had already vetted these accredited investors. It was perfect for us because we wanted to scale in such a way that we could reach and attract high net worth investors. We weren't looking for small investors. We weren't looking for investors that barely made the cut, right? We were looking for high net worth investors because we needed to be able to market our offering publicly. Because we didn't have a niche of investors that were available to us. So we needed to market it publicly. But when we flew out to the event, in some cases, it actually came to the office where we were, which was excellent for us. I had a guy fly out from California. He met with us. He already knew how much he wanted to invest. And he left those financial provisions with us that day when he flew out. He stayed for about a week, did his due diligence. He went to the bank. He provided the provision. He signed something with our banker. Flew back out to California. It was under a general solicitation like this 506C. All right. Then you've got Rule 504. Now, remember, you can go to sec.gov. I'm not licensed for this, and in no way implying that I know anything or have any kind of credibility for any of this. I am sharing with you what I've experienced and what's publicly made available through resources such as boutique brokerages that we have worked with in the past. And they're simply sharing with us what we needed to know over the years, what we've used over the years, what may benefit you guys. Rule 504, limited offerings up to $10 million. So Rule 504 allows companies to raise up to $10 million in a 12-month period. So this is a powerful tool if you want to use for a regional or multi-state offering. It's not like the 506 or because the 504 doesn't require investors to be accredited. But it does require compliance with state securities laws. You don't know what those laws are, which is why, again, you may want to reach out to a boutique brokerage. And we have a list that we provide because for the most part, all of the people who are registered in our course, we understand the type of, that's why we asked you all of those questions regarding setting up your company, regarding the type of business that you are, regarding your SIC codes and your operational network and your infrastructure. That's why we were asking, because this way we're able to provide that information to the boutique brokerage and they're able to bring together a group of investors that will be looking for the product that you offer, the services that you offer. So this exemption is often used by smaller corporations, by community-based businesses, and companies that are raising moderate amounts of capital. So when it talks about community-based businesses, let me clarify this. So, in our group, I think we have a couple of nonprofits. Well, we have a company that's nonprofit adjacent. Okay. And then we've got a company that's literally a nonprofit. They have a 501(c)(3). Then we've got a company that really services the public. A lot to do with correctional system, a lot to do with reentry after correctional facilities. Those are community-based businesses, right? We've got some ministries that are involved. Those are community-based businesses. And then we've got some smaller corporations, some that are making right at $1 million a year. These are smaller based corporations. And then also companies that are raising moderate amounts of capital. So this 504 would be for them because, again, the investors don't have to be accredited. But here's what you want to do. You want to make sure that your boutique brokerage has already gone through and checked off everything that's required to be in compliance with the state securities laws. Because if not, you're going to get wrapped up in that yourself. It won't just be the boutique brokerage that's responsible. You'll be responsible because this whole event would have been established for you. The investors will be coming based on an offering that you are providing. So you want to make sure that they verified those things. So when we're looking at filing for any type of Regulation D offering, no matter what it is, there's a form. There's a form, and it's called the Form D. The Regulation D exemption that you use, whether it's 506B, 506C, or 504, you must file Form D within 15 days of the first sale of security. So if you know that they're planning an event for you, they're setting it up, they're having people to come to that event or setting up an advertisement for a virtual event, and it's going to be in June, and we're now in January, then you need to go ahead and file your Form D. Now, you don't want to file it too far out, but then you don't want to file it so that you're too close to that 15 days. It needs to be filed within 15 days of the first sale. So I would say within 90 days, file it 90 days prior to the first sale. And that way you make sure you clear that 15 days. If they got any objections, if they're rejecting any part of the documentation or any exemptions that you're claiming, they will send it back to you. You'll have time to respond to it and correct it and send it back out. So the SEC charges no filing fee. That's what I said. and the form must be submitted electronically through the system that they have set up. Yeah. This filing notifies regulators that you are conducting an exempt offering, and it helps maintain transparency and compliance. So this is why I've been talking to you about making sure that we have everything set up. One, so that if you look at the book is set up comprehensively so that each chapter has you walking through a step that's setting you up. It's setting up your digital presence. It's giving you a digital footprint so that you show that you exist, right? If you need to receive some type of business credit, you can start with small credit cards for your company. Fuel cards, a very excellent place to start. You can start with 30-day net accounts, and you want to go through Credit Strong. I strongly recommend Credit Strong. Very excellent way to build your company's digital footprint so that when you're looking for business credit, use it. Another way to do it, a lot of you own real estate. And so we've gone through the transaction of setting up a holding company for you. And that's a whole nother video. So I won't talk about that on here, but we've set up a holding company for you. And the holding company has now applied for real estate credit. And of course, that's worked out excellently. And when you do that, that enlarges the amount of your credit line that you can apply for in other ways. And it benefits you greatly. And a lot of you have done that. And some of you were walking through doing that right now, but you're putting your real estate under your holding company, which causes your level of credit limit for your corporation to extend. But this is a wonderful way to raise capital. You're not borrowing this money. These people are buying stock in your company. They're saying, we believe in the product that you provide, the service that you provide. We know that if we help you with this, according to your private placement memorandum, this is what you're going to do with these funds. We're going to hold you accountable for what you're going to do with these funds. The law is going to hold you accountable for a portion of what you do with these funds. If that makes sense. Well, we're giving you these funds so that you can increase the growth of your company and scale it over time. We are investing in your company. We are, in essence, loaning you the money. Depending on the type of stock, if it's common stock, they get a vote in your company, and you return them dividends based on how you set it up. With preferred stock, you pay them incremental dividends over time. They don't have a vote, but they do receive a constant stream of dividend payments to show them a certain amount of return on their money. They get the reports on how your company is doing financially, how that program is working that they've invested in. Yeah. So I want you to take the next step towards your corporate mastery. If you're serious about building a corporation that attracts investors, that raises capital legally, and grows with confidence without having to always borrow money, and it's time to equip yourself with the right knowledge and the right tools. This part is essential. And again, it's a part that a lot of people are not aware of. So they're struggling to raise capital. They're struggling to understand how they can build the growth of their company, how they can scale it for the future. If you're serious about building your corporation, if you're serious about attracting investors and raising capital, if you want to grow with confidence, it's time to equip yourself with the right knowledge and the right tools. First thing you want to do is you want to purchase this book. This one, Homeownership, Pre-Planning, and much, much more. It's purchase power for new businesses, for any business, actually. And you want to purchase Easy Corporate Comprehensive Curriculum for new business owners, and understand that the second edition is coming out very soon. It's going to be released very soon. It's going to have all of this information and much, much more. It's going to have a list of boutique brokerages, so much more in it. And of course, the course that's affiliated with the second edition and the workbook is going to be so much more extensive than what you have now. So I want you to not only purchase the book, because it's a step-by-step system designed for new business owners who want to clarify with confidence and they want to build in compliance. It's a system, and it's a system that you just keep. It's a set of systems that you keep. That is the way that you're going to operate your company. And when you reach a certain growth plateau, you'll establish a different set of systems for that level of growth. I want you to register for the full course because you learn how to structure your offerings, protect your corporation, and raise capital the right way. In fact, a lot of you have already gone through setting up your private placement memorandum. Next thing I want you to do is join our school community. It's a community where you can always communicate inside of the school. You can ask questions. You can get immediate answers. You can share information that you have gleaned, that you've learned, that you've experienced. Yeah, you can share your questions that you're looking for. You don't have to wait until once a week for class. You can share concerns right there in that school where we're all a part of the community, and we constantly are sharing with you information from the podcast. So you're getting free courses and classes in that school community at all times, but you're building also a network. That's right. So you can connect with other entrepreneurs. You are going to be able to connect with some boutique brokerages that will be a part of our school. You can ask questions. You can get support. On our live nights each month, you'll get a chance to hear from a corporate, multi-billion-dollar corporation, multi-billion-dollar corporation. I think we've got a company coming up. This family corporation has been in business for over, I think, a decade. Yeah. Yeah, and they have gleaned, we won't even talk about how many millions they're worth. Yeah. Mhm. So they're going to come and they're going to talk to us about their growth, how they started, how they scaled it, the good times, the bad times, when they plummeted, when they thought they were almost finished, almost over, but opportunities arose for them. Connect with other entrepreneurs in our school community. Again, you can ask questions, and you can grow inside of a powerful building network for your corporation. Because your corporation deserves to be built on wisdom, on strategy, yeah, and excellence. Oh, yeah. So what I want to do is I want to invite you to build it together.